Hi, everyone. This is Genesis, CEO of ArmHug, and I'm here with Sidney Collin. She is a great friend that I met on Fourth Wave. If you guys know about the accelerator program, it's a women's accelerator program. But I just wanted to bring her on here because I think she is working on an extraordinary product that helps a lot of patients who have mobility disorders. Sidney Collins is the inventor of the NexStride and is the co-founder and CEO of Oro Devices. And Oro Devices is a biomedical device startup whose mission is to develop products to improve mobility, independence, and quality of life for those who suffer with mobility disorders. So a lot of people on here I know are seeing patients that are probably in need of something like this, but they're having trouble looking for it. So Sidney, get us started. Why did you become the founder of a biomedical startup?
Good question. Because I feel like a lot of people kind of grow up and they're like, well, I want to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to start a company and I'm going to run the world. And that just was not me. I came from an engineering background. I studied biomedical engineering. I had a research background in computational neuroscience. And what ended up happening was I started to dive into really understanding this one symptom of Parkinson's called freezing of gait for one person who I had met. It was this local veteran in San Luis Obispo, California, which is where Cal Poly is, where I went to school, who lived with Parkinson's disease, and he suffered from freezing of gait and needed a solution to help him be able to walk. Freezing of gait, for background info, is one of the most common, one of the most debilitating symptoms of Parkinson's disease that stops people from being able to walk. It's medically defined as a sudden onset of immobility, but people will describe it as feeling like their feet are glued to the floor, stuck in a box of cement. So all of a sudden, no matter how hard you try, you can't even pick up one foot. So I met Jack. He had this freezing of gait symptom, and I started to dive into the research there to really understand what was going on and what could I do to help him. And as I started to look into the research, what I found is that there's a significant 100 peer-reviewed articles, a huge amount of data that's been published showing the efficacy of these non-invasive sensory cues, visual and auditory cues, that help activate the goal-oriented neural pathways in the brain that allow you to bypass the damaged neural circuits that are causing freezing of gait and allow someone to be able to restore mobility, to be able to start walking again. So I'm looking into the research and I find there's all this research behind these visual and auditory cues. I'm like, okay, so this is well known to be effective. And then I start to talk to physical therapists in the area and find out that this is standard practice in any physical therapy clinic that specializes in Parkinson's is using these visual and auditory cues to help people overcome freezing of gait. And so I sat down with Jack, and Jack said, okay, yes, I know that these visual and auditory cues work. I use them in my physical therapy clinic every time I go in, but I go into my physical therapy clinic, once or twice a week for an hour, and then I come home and I can't walk anymore. I can't go to the bathroom by myself. I can't go on a walk with my wife, Sandy. And that was so frustrating for him because he knew that there were things that he could use to help him walk. He just didn't have access to them at home. So I partnered with him and we kind of created a way to use these visual and auditory cues at home. So in the physical therapy clinic, you'll put down parallel lines of tape on the ground. They'll put on marching music and have people walk to the beat of marching music. They'll have people step over those parallel lines of tape. Sometimes you'll see like rope ladders on the ground. They'll have people kind of step through the rope ladder. All of those are just ways of creating visual cues or auditory cues for people to be able to follow. Step over the rope, step over the line on the floor, step to the beat of the music. And what we found is that we can make all of that portable and accessible at home by integrating a green laser line visual cue and a metronome into a small portable device that we could then attach onto Jack's walker that he already was using.
Wow.
So that was essentially the founding story. And that device, obviously there's a lot of development that happened from that first device that I made for Jack, but that's the device that we're selling now, called NexStride. So it's a portable device that attaches onto any cane walker or walking pole. and it uses the visual cue, green laser line, of auditory cue, metronome, to be able to help people overcome freezing of gait. But also, we found it's effective in much more than just freezing of gait and Parkinson's. It can help people with stroke and cerebral palsy and multiple sclerosis and traumatic brain injury and all sorts of other areas, to be able to create gait symmetry, to be able to increase step length, and ultimately reduce the risk of falls.
Yeah, isn't that amazing when you build one thing and you find how useful it can be for so many other things?
It's pretty incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I really made this device for Jack and had no intention of taking it any further than that. And then you meet all of these people. He brought me to a local Parkinson's support group, and I met all these other people who needed a product to help with freezing of gait. I mean, it is one of the most common symptoms of Parkinson's disease. So there are millions of people worldwide that have this symptom and don't have an effective solution for it. And so first you see, okay, there's a lot more people that can use this thing for this one purpose. And then as we start to work more with physical therapists, that's when we start to understand, physical therapists will take this product and say, yeah, I used it with my Parkinson's patient and it worked great. But I also used it with my stroke patient and with this person that had traumatic brain injury and with this other person, and it works great for all of them too. We use visual cues in a lot of other areas besides just Parkinson's. And so that's when we started to realize there was all of these other areas where we could help people. And then you look into the research and you find all this validating research that's already been published showing the efficacy of these visual and auditory cues. So it's definitely has been exciting to be able to see how many more use cases there are, not only being able to validate that with research that's been published already, but then doing our own research. We had Bellevue Hospital, within a month of us getting the device out on the market, Bellevue Hospital in New York reached out to us and said, hey, we've been looking for a solution to try and make our visual and auditory cues portable. We'd love to try this out. And then a couple months ago, we just published a case study with them. They've been using it in their inpatient stroke facility. We're about to publish a case study with Vanderbilt University, with Paragon Management skilled nursing facility. So we're starting to be able to really show the world how effective our products are in all sorts of different situations: inpatient stroke facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and outpatient physical therapy. And all of them have different disease states.
Yeah. So that's amazing. That means you're at this like influx of like, now there's all these people looking to learn more, and there's more
Yeah.
ways that we can help. And is there probably more products down the line, you think, or do you think this will be your only product?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a huge need, right? Coming from a research background, you see that there's all this knowledge that exists in the research world that doesn't actually help anybody unless someone takes that information and puts it into a solution that people can actually use every day to be able to improve their quality of life. So 100%, I think there needs to be a much stronger bridge between the research world and the people who can actually benefit from that innovation and research. So I hope to, or I shouldn't even say I hope to, we definitely will create more products that allow people to be able to use that technology to improve their quality of life. And
Yeah.
it'll all be in kind of a non-invasive mobility space.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think you're already doing it, since people are already reaching out to you to learn more about it, and they're probably from different countries. Have other people in other countries reached out yet?
Yeah, we actually sell this product in 7 countries, including the US. So again, within like the first couple months of us getting the product out on the market, we had distributors in the first distributor that reached out to us was from Denmark.
Nice.
Um, she was great. And then we had another distributor reach out to us that was in Australia, New Zealand. And then through them, we met a couple of other people. We're now selling in New Zealand, sorry, Australia, yeah, Australia, New Zealand, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and the UK and the US.
Wow. And you started it in the US,
I did.
right?
Yeah.
And so can you talk a little bit about like how long it took you to get to this point? So I think some people do stop too early.
Yeah. It's funny. I was at a networking speaking event here in Austin yesterday where somebody was asking about kind of what it takes to start a company and make it successful. And the speaker, I think she was the COO of Bumble, she said it's a lot more about your stomach than it is about your brain. Like, can you continue to persevere even in the eyes of a lot of struggles, a lot of failures, a lot of things going wrong? Can you continue? And I think that that's exactly right. I would love to be able to say that it's just like if you're just smart enough, or if you're just have a high enough EQ, or if you just have certain skill sets, then you just are going to be successful. But that is absolutely not the case. I think it's very much, yes, you need to be able to problem solve, and you need to be resourceful, and you need to, like, there is a certain level of skill that I think anybody needs, but it's so much more about just just keep going, you know, like, just keep doing it. Somebody said yesterday, this one woman who's been very successful, her company has grown from like 12 employees to 100 employees in the last 12 months.
Wow.
But she was saying yesterday, she was like, well, you don't really fail if you never quit. You know, like, you don't reach failure. It's just, you know, a bump in the road if you keep going. If you stop at that point, then yeah, you failed. But if you reach a bump in the road and you decide to keep going, then you haven't failed yet, which I thought was funny.
That's an incredible mindset. Yeah, it's like putting your headspace in, I don't know, it's different than just going to work,
Yeah.
working from 9 to 5 and thinking about, okay, now I could just go home. I was trying to explain that to somebody, how different entrepreneurs think and how we have to think differently about our work, our personal life, and the struggles. So you already mentioned, like, they could just be bumps in the road. It doesn't mean I have to quit everything. So were you confident in this idea at first? Just to talk a little bit about how much you had to, or you felt you had to change to be able to put yourself there where you needed to be to get it out there.
So that's a really good question. I think that, so I started this company in college, right? I was in undergrad. I still had, I think, a year left of school when I started the company. Um, and so there was a lot of unknowns. There was a lot to learn. I definitely saw very clearly the need for the product. And that was something that was hugely motivating to do something about it and to get started. But what was really hard for me was realizing that I could be the person to do it. So I saw that there was a need for it. I saw that this product worked to fill that need and to solve that problem. But I always thought that there was somebody else out there that would be a better fit to run the company and to get the product out to the people who needed it. So, you know, I always thought, okay, well, probably we're just going to license out the technology and some other company's going to get out there. Or I'm going to find some business people to run the company and I'm going to go back to my research. And that thought was in my head for a really long time until we got to the point where I realized that, you know, yeah, we could license the technology, but is there another company that really understands how this can affect people and how to get it out to those people? Because, you know, there's Keynes and there's Walker companies, but they don't really have the expertise in visual and auditory cueing specifically. And so I realized, so when I started to look into the licensing it out portion, I realized, okay, there's not a company that really understands this space really well, because like there aren't visual and auditory cueing products out there and people don't really understand how effective they are and how to market them. And so that was kind of something that we left on the back burner of like, okay, if we found the right partner, maybe, but we haven't seen the right partner to do this. And I'm worried that if I licensed it out, it just wouldn't go anywhere. So then we start going down this other path of like, okay, I'm going to find some business people and they're going to run the company and I'm going to go back and do my research. And that was what I was planning on doing. I brought on these two business people, one undergrad and one finished his MBA at Cal Poly, and we did this accelerator together. And at the end of the accelerator, my intention the entire time was to give them the business and for me to go back and do research. But when we got to the end of the accelerator, they said, okay, you have to be the person to get up on the stage and present this because you have the relationship with Jack and you have the knowledge of how this product works better than either of us do. So we just need you to present it. And I said, okay, great. And then I got up on stage and presented the company. And during intermission, I had an investor, our first investor, came up to me and he said, I'm in. And I was like, oh man, I have no idea what that means, but okay. And then I sat down with him and got coffee, and he had a 50K check written and ready to go before I even sat down for coffee with him. And he made it very clear. He was like, yes, I think that what you're doing is amazing. I think that the company is going to be successful, but the reason I think it's going to be successful is because of you. And at that point, I realized that I couldn't, would be fraudulent of me to take his money and leave. So,
Wow.
so I stayed on and I kept waiting for the point in which we would hire a quote unquote real CEO. And I kept waiting for the point in which I would not be the best person for the job. And we haven't gotten to that point yet.
That's
We still
amazing
might.
that you still went ahead with it. And you know what's funny? So I've had that feeling too. I don't know if that person will ever show up. It might just be, at least in my experience, what I think it is. It's me seeing myself in the future, almost like the person I'm imagining is the person I'm becoming.
Yeah.
Because I want to fit, I want to be the right fit for this business.
Yeah.
But you're going that direction. It's a very cathartic, I don't know, like a really weird feeling. So I know what you're talking about.
It is. Oh, I feel like every time I get to a point, our job as CEOs of a startup company changes so fast, so often. It's like every 3 months, even, I think eventually it'll be every 6 months. Right now, I feel like it's literally every quarter, my job completely changes. And the skill sets that I need to be successful in that job completely changes. And so every time I get to a point where I'm like, oh crap, I need to know how to do this and I don't know how to do it yet, then I go into this like hyper accelerated growth mode where I buy like 10 books on the subject and I go talk and get a bunch of advisors and sit down and try and like learn everything that I need to learn. And then I go try it out and try and use those skills that I'm super speed learning. And that has been a really great way to kind of get to keep up. But I'm hoping that moving forward, I can use my advisors and all the resources that we have through, like the Fourth Wave and all these other accelerator programs to be able to foresee kind of where I need to be in the next 6 months, in the next year, and be able to kind of get ahead of it and continue to learn at a pace that is faster than what the company needs me to be at.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I feel like, yeah, there's sometimes this patience thing is, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, I know I get it all the time, so I can't imagine other people who are starting businesses feel like it's going slow. So I know how you feel. And so we talked about who uses NexStride, but I'm curious, like, where are they finding you? How can we learn more about the products?
Well, on our website, so we have www.getnexstride.com is our website. So there's a bunch of information on NexStride there. It can be purchased on our website, but we're actually, for the first time ever, about to release commercials, national TV commercials. So I'm really excited about that. So hopefully people will learn about us through our direct TV commercials as well.
That's exciting. And I hope you post out what are the good channels they're going to be on, because I kind of want to see this. That's great. I
I'm
mean,
so excited. Yeah, we get the rough cut tomorrow, and so we sent somebody out to go film one of our favorite customers. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that I have a favorite customer, but his name's Walter, and he's just such a hoot. I just adore him. He sends me pictures of him with the NexStride at hockey games with his family and hiking, and he still goes hunting, and he'll send me pictures and videos of him using the NexStride doing all of these things in his life. And I just love hearing about it and everything that
or
he
like a
does.
blog series.
Yeah,
Or
we actually just published a blog about him on our website so people can go read about him, but he's just such a hoot. I'm really excited to watch the rough cut and hear his story. And
that's awesome. He's your influencer.
he is. He actually attended a like Parkinson's um it wasn't a support group, it was some like event, I think probably a fundraiser event for Parkinson's, and they have these sponsors, and sponsors have tables, and they all kind of, share information about their products. So Walter attended one of these on our behalf and represented NexStride for us. He like completely voluntarily. We didn't ask him to. He reached out to us and said, "Hey, there's this event with our local Parkinson's group. I'd love to, share information about the NexStride." And so we sent him all the materials. We sent him like the banners and everything, and he sent us videos of him there representing NexStride for us. It was really, really cool.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go ahead and ask the last question, okay?
Okay.
And now I forgot it, so give me a second.
I know now that you put all this pressure on yourself.
I'm so enwrapped into your story. Okay, so no, I wanted to know if we could see it. Do you have one with you, or
Yeah.
just like what it looks like? So
I do
nice.
have one. So this is the package that it comes in. And then here, let's see if I can open this up with you watching. So then you have, your instructions manual. You can see how it attaches onto like canes, walkers, walking poles here. And then this is the device itself. It's about the size of like a palm, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And then you take this rubber band that we've built and you attach it. Here, let me make sure you can see that. Attach it into this little hook. And then what will happen is you'll have your like cane or your walker or whatever it is that you're using, walking poles right here. You'll loop this. Let me make sure you have the background. Loop this around, attach it in on the other side so you can secure it that way. And then you can move the device left and right. You can move the laser forward and back. And so it's all completely customizable. And then we have this hand controller piece. So this is just a push button. So you push the button for the laser, you push the button for the metronome, and this piece goes right next to the handle of the cane or the walker. So all you have to do is move your thumb to activate either the laser or the metronome. And that's it. I mean, it's just a really easy way to be able to attach on to a cane, walker, or walking pole these visual and auditory cues to help people be able to normalize and stabilize their walking.
That's amazing. But it's essentially just tricking your brain.
It is. It's so interesting how the brain works. I think it's fascinating.
To walk. That's amazing. It is amazing what you're doing. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to be in touch, and I want to keep learning more about you and keep supporting you on all of this. I think that what you're providing is giving people access to something that, like you said, was living in a research paper, and more people need to do it. So if you guys are listening in and you're thinking about an idea and you wrote it down on paper, or it's still floating in your head, write it down on paper and then talk about it, right? These ideas only happen because you talk to people. I'm sure you go to events all the time and you talk about your ideas and you meet people who are impacted by this idea that was living in your head.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, what really motivates me is all the customer stories, all the people that we're able to help. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, well, what more could you ask for? I mean, you're doing what you love, and then people are also appreciating the fact that you are the one doing it. So thank you so much, Sidney. I appreciate your time today, and I know how busy you are. So I'm going to let you go, and I will put all your information below so people can reach out and learn more about your product.
Thank you so much for having me, Genesis. This was fun. Fun to catch up.